Hello guys, welcome back to the channel, the Manga Man here, and today we're talking about One Piece. One Piece chapter 1020, 1020 will be the end of this video, but I will need to do a bit of a catch up from 1015 to 1019 first. I've been away for a while for different reasons, which as I've said in the previous two videos, it's down to being a copyright strike and everything else culminating. But that's been taken care of, so I'm back making this video, the third of the day, and hopefully tomorrow, providing I can get the right setup for my thumbnail, I'm hoping to talk about my thoughts on the Tower of God and Hajime and Ippo and introduce them into the circulation. Yeah, I know it's hard enough kind of doing the three that I am doing. Plus, at some point, World Trigger will be back, I believe, next week, Thursday or Wednesday. And I'll hopefully get that into the rotation next week as well. So without further ado, let's get into this review. So, chapter 1015 to chapter 119. Now I'm conscious that my previous videos were very long for this, and I'm also conscious that you can't effectively summarize one chapter of One Piece within a couple of minutes, let alone 4 or 5. So honestly, to do it justice, there's a number of YouTubers out there that will probably do a better job of going into big details about every single thing, which One Piece truly deserves. So just bear with me and let me talk about a few things that I thought were interesting. So, if you go through the chain of events, what you're effectively seeing is a few different things. We're essentially getting a restructure of the battlefield and reconfiguration. So if you kind of go over a few things, obviously Luffy fell off, thought to be dead. The message gets out that he's been defeated, and everyone's kind of morale goes down. Then Momo hears a noise. It's Luffy. He said he's going to be back, carry on fighting. He's going to defeat Kaido. Morale goes up. Then there's a whole thing with Otama, where Otama kind of essentially gets to the live floor and tells everybody, we need to take down Kaido, la 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 la, help me. And, the headliners and the gifters change their allegiances. And then we get a whole thing with the CP9, and we get to find out what they were really there for. And it's to do with Who's Who. Speaking of Who's Who and the Tobiropo, essentially, if you think about the Flying 6, which is now the Flying 5, excluding Deus Drake, X Drake, there's 5 members of the Tobiropo that need to go down before we can see anyone else really be defeated to move on to Kaido, right? These last few chapters have started pushing towards that, leading into the chapter of 1020 with Black Maria and Robin. But before, we'll get towards that in a second, but we see a fight between Who's Who and Jinbei. Jinbei is a fisherman out of the water. It's a really good fight. We get to see more about Who's Who's past, and that little trinket is revealed. We see his hybrid form. He's a former member of the CP9 who lost the fruit that Shanks took that Luffy ate. So it's kind of a roundabout way of him holding a grudge, but it made it seem like that was important, otherwise why would CP9 be dealing with it? So we've gone from not knowing anything about this fruit to, hey, it could be something interesting. And it's just taken us over 1,000 chapters to find that out. So it'll be interesting seeing how that develops, what story it has, who the past user is, etc, 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 what powers they give beyond the rubber. But that I found interesting. The fact that he was a CP9 just added another layer to everything, and the fact that he mentioned the sun god Nika or Nico was interesting in itself, being that not too long ago Luffy was essentially compared to a deva by Hyogoro. So ultimately the links are there. Then there's a whole kind of links when you think about the sun god to Egyptians and Aztecians, and even in the world of One Piece, the Shandorians, and they've got this snake, and they had multiple names for him as well in a flashback to do with I'm gonna forget his name now. The guy with the on his head that went to the sky. And he found the city of gold. Who was executed. He was from the North Seas. His son, or his ancestor, was diving in the water to find it. Him, Mont Blanc. Anyway, him. So there's that whole story going on. Then we move on to the whole Frankie situation, where Frankie essentially deals with Sasaki, who also has a funky sword, doesn't really have a sword. Neither does Huzu, who's got this funky other technique going on. Also, Page 1 and Ulti are taken care of for the time being. So realistically, there's only Black Maria left. When you think about it, as soon as Black Maria is down, we can move forward with the story. Other things that we found interesting as well. Obviously Luffy's been saved by Law's crew. He's probably heading to an island. Momo's escaped. Where he's gone, how he's escaped, we don't know just yet. You find it in chapter 1020. That's interesting. We see Yamato's transformation. We find out the devil fruit's name in chapter 1020. That's going on. Sanji is now beginning to fight against Queen. That's interesting. We can see that Thingy is still fighting as well. Inuarashi is still fighting against Jack. We see that's going on. Zoro's hit the floor. He's probably going to get healed. Is he going to fight against King? So that Marco can move on to do other things. So many things to go through. So being that's what's happened, let's just leave it at that, and let's move on to chapter 1020. Chapter 1020 has plenty to talk about, plenty to speculate about, too much to go through in this section of a video, so I will cover a few things. Number one, we find out the devil fruit name model of Yamato's devil fruit, which she ate by chance because she was hungry, and she didn't know what it was supposed to be. We find out that it's a mythical zone, so it's really rare, and it's the Inu Makami fruit, which is the guardian deity of Wano, and because of that, she needs to stay and essentially defend Wano. And she's like, the hell with that, I ain't doing that, get away. And they're fighting. Now, it's important to bear in mind that although Yamato is fighting against Kaido, he knows or whatever, if he or she's been ordered at that time, knows that they can't defeat Kaido. They know that. They've made that statement before. They're essentially doing enough to hold him back. At the same time, Kaido isn't really trying to destroy his child. He's more along the lines of kind of trying to beat some sense into them from his perspective. Although I do not condone that type of behavior. Naughty Kaido. Anyway, so a good chunk of the chapter is to do with Robin, with Brooke, and I guess Black Maria and Co. But before that, we want to talk a little bit about Luffy. Luffy is on an island now. He's being pumped full of air, and all the water's coming out. He wants meat like he did in the previous chapters, and he's with Momo and the Lady Samurai. Anyway, obviously the whole thing here you've got to bear in mind, and as an audience, yes, I know you get it, but just in case you didn't, Luffy does not treat your Momo as a kid. He does not treat him as a child. He treats him as an equal. That's why he will bicker with him, he will fight with him, he will say what he needs to say. And this is reflected in the statement saying, you can cry later, we need to go back up to the island. You can see the islands slowly now coming over Onigashima. So they're back on Onigashima. So Onigashima is coming over the Wano island. Even though it's an archipelago, because it's a cluster of islands, let's not get into that. Anyway, so when you think about it that way, he's literally saying, look, we've got a job to do, let's go do it, stop crying, deal with it later. And I think him, like on Onzo, like that, he's still treating him like I'm an adult, because he effectively has to be the leader. of the samurai, and he can't be crying and doing all this stuff. It might not be fair, you know, he might not be the right age, he might not have had a childhood, all that sort of stuff. But this is unfortunately his destiny. Unless someone else comes to take that place, it's him. That being said, I like that. I mean, it's a balancing act. You can't really say yes or no to either side of it. But I like that he's treating him differently and not, oh, your Royal Highness and la la la. So he's making him make those tough choices for himself, and this is going to hopefully push him over to get over that phobia of turning to a dragon and flying and dealing with Kaido. Maybe this is going to be a means for him to use his power to stop like it landing on Wano, the Onigashima Island, and be pushed back into the sea. Maybe. Anyway, so that I liked. The rest of the chapter is pretty much Robin and Brooke versus Black Maria and that weird bloody I don't know what you'd call it. It's been given a fruit. That's what it's like. That it's got like a man toad face. Anyway, and Black Maria's crew against them two. And what I really like about this is ultimately in a bind, Brooke is just really good at the assist. He's a very good supportive character, and he's doing well to support Robin. Robin at one point gets dealing with his illusions. He just slaps him, and it's like, you honestly sometimes reading the Reddit for these, the comment section is so invaluable because a lot of people have different opinions, and they say things that really stir something. So one of the comments I read was, she's been hiding from the government for 20 years. She's been creating illusions and getting her way around things for 20 years. She'd know a thing or two about illusions, and ultimately this shows. It really sets up the battle at the end. It's still ongoing, but it's kind of now Black Maria versus Robin, the rest of the crew versus Brooke. And Brooke's going to show his quality. He has been MVP for a lot of chapters in the past. We haven't really seen the true full capabilities of him yet. I'm sure we will down the line. But ultimately, that's where it's getting towards. That has to finish so then we can start really dealing with these other headliners. I mean, realistically, most are taken care of. It's only the situation with Apu and Hawkins that we need to find out. And Hawkins is fighting against Killer right now. Apu is somewhere. I can't remember off the top of my head. That being said, once this gets wrapped up and that situation gets wrapped up, I'm assuming this is going to start building towards the Supernova joining forces. And if, I don't know, Rouge can turn up from somewhere, if Capone Bedge can turn up from somewhere, and maybe Jewelry Bonnie, although Jewelry Bonnie was at the level E or the reverie, but otherwise will be interesting. That being said, that is the chapter. Without further ado, I must bid you adieu, and I will see you next time. Peace.